Hi everyone, this is Lee, and today we've got an amazing session today happening. I've got Bridget here, who's from Austria, and she's given up some of her time to say hello to us and check in as well. Say hello to everyone, Bridget.
Hi, Lee, and hi, everyone out there. I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you for the invitation, Lee. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So we've got a jam-packed half an hour where we're just having a normal conversation around personal branding. So I'm very fortunate that I belong to a lot of groups and I meet these amazing women like Bridget who are entrepreneurs and international as well. So I wanted to kick off today, yeah, Bridget, telling you a bit about, when I first started my business back in it was 2001, I was very naive. I had no business sense at all. And I used to go to networking groups and I'd sit down, beside other entrepreneurs in a networking group. And I'll tell you what, I was like being a lamb led to slaughter. It was just, whatever they said, I believed I had to have. So I remember this occasion when I was sitting down and I was brand new. I was a bit nervous. I'm a bit of an introvert, believe this or not. I was really nervous. And this person sat beside me on a big corporation and it was a branding expert. And of course, I thought I needed branding straight away. So what I did, I handed over $10,000. So back in 2001, that was a while ago. Handed over $10,000, and all I got was a white business card with a little logo on it. Obviously, the fonts was put on it, and a little banner and a flyer, and that was 10 grand. And I cried. I thought I'd have a lot more. I thought I'd have colours, I'd have everything, but that's all I got. And as a business owner, and you haven't been in the trenches very long, it can be quite easily to be, I suppose, coerced in people who haven't got the ethics and things like that in business as well. So Bridget, what is all this personal branding about? So I'll get you to kick it off as well.
Good. This is a longer answer to your question. So first of all, everyone is a personal brand. Yeah, everyone is unique and there is no other than you that is you, right? So you are your most precious asset and you have to treat it like that. So being a personal brand is really taking this more holistic perspective and approach. So it's everything we are and what we do. So it's simply how we as a person present ourselves to the world. So we present ourselves to the world by being ourselves. I mean, that sounds weird, but it is really like that. Yeah.
I want to grab that point there that you just mentioned there, Bridget. It's about being authentic, isn't it? Like, I mean, if I put up, when I was in the corporate arena, because I spent many years in corporate, and I used to do leadership, and I used to always wear a suit and everything as well. And when I transitioned out of corporate and decided to step away from my corporate market, I just want to be me. I want to be casual. I want to be who I am and feel comfortable not pretending, not putting masks on anymore that I'm this person who's got this suit and the what is it? It reminds me of the gigolos, with the gold and the flashy rings and the watches and the everything else as well. I like to be just very casual, and my clients love that in me. And most of my clients say to me that they chose me to work with me because I'm down to earth. Now that's really interesting, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So being your authentic self is really being deeply connected and committed to your core values and your inner wisdom, that what you believe in. Yeah. That means being clear of the values you live by every day, what you believe in all what you're doing. So being in alignment with your truth, so-called, yeah, that is being authentic. So you're giving yourself this permission to be you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you free yourself, then you are magic if you are you. So that is your competitive advantage in the marketplace as a business owner. Yeah? Being yourself is your so-called superpower. No one else is you. Yeah, right?
So I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us all different than our competitors. When we start looking at, competitive analysis and everything else, and as a solo entrepreneur, sometimes we can compare ourselves with, the big companies or someone who's been in business, say, for 20 years or whatever, and they're established and they've got everything happening for them. But sometimes we forget that they have to start in the same place as what we're in today. And the only reason where they're at, where they're at now is because of, persistence of getting up and down, because there's no overnight successes. But even sitting here in front of me here, because I've just decided to call myself a new name, which gives my branding. So now I'm called the Launch Wizard. So it's really interesting as well. That will become my brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We always compare ourselves with others that are much further in the journey. Yeah. That makes it really difficult. We should not judge that and judge us and compare ourselves, because we're just unique. We are, having this being magic in understanding that we are different and we have to go our own path. Yeah. So, and also not only as a business owner, but also as a leader in a corporation. Yeah. So, in a corporate setting, and behind every organization, behind every corporate brand are human beings, these leaders that drive that business. Yeah.
And I want to grab this too from you, Bridget, as well. People like doing business with people, not a identity, not what an identity, not a company name. That they want to do business with you. They're attracted to you. So it's important to become that attractive character as well with your own branding and giving. And I think giving is really easy when you're working and being authentic and you're working with your dream clients, the ones that you want to work with. And that makes it so easy than trying to pretend.
Yeah. And the more you're cognizant of who you are as a person, the better you can lead yourself first, and the better leader you are to lead others. Yes. And the more you are understand yourself and being
absolutely. And leadership starts with self. So if you expect other people to cooperate, you expect other people to continue their learning and their development and everything else, well, you need to do the same as well. So it's important that all good leaders do the same as well. So I remember I was working with this leader. His name was Raymond Faulkner, and he was in Holiday Inn, and he was a manager of something like 10 hotel sites and things like that. And he himself said after 12 years being in leadership and a general manager of a company, he still felt he needed to have that leadership, someone working with him on a continual basis, so he continues to grow as well. Now, I've got another question I want to ask you as well, if that's okay, Bridget, and that is, why do you think branding is so important? So why is branding so important?
So first of all, personal branding is an act of service to everyone you are in touch with. It's really, you are serving other people. You are serving your company, making profits. You are serving your customer, and you're also, in that sense, are serving your employees. So basically, everyone you are in touch with. Yeah. And as I said, behind every successful, sustainable business is a strong personal brand. And really, because you make business with people and not just with a logo, not just with a product or a service or experience, it's really human beings. And that's what we need to understand. So this is most critical, because very often it's about, this other company or this and that, but behind every institution or organization, behind everyone you are connecting on, for example, LinkedIn with, these are real people out there. So we have to be very careful of how we communicate with each other, what we are sending out, as human beings. We are in charge of what we are doing, or we have to control what we are sending out, how we are presenting to ourselves, to the world. That is our brand. our brand identity, and it's manifested in logo and so on, in all these tangible elements. But that's what we are sending out to create a certain image in the market. And in order to, as a personal brand, you also you need to inspire. So critical here in this context is really your big why. Yeah, why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah, and this why helps you also, in a sense, what do others immediately come up with when they think of you? Yeah, in your brain. So what happens? What is the feeling? Yeah, and also the visceral connection that you create with your audience. Yeah, that is basically the purpose of your brand. You want to create a perception in the market. This is based on these emotions. You want to touch people's hearts, and that is how you inspire, and that's how you create impact in the market.
That's right.
And the more you show yourself as this genuine human being, the more authentic you are, the more magnetic you are, then the better you can connect and establish relationships with your audience. Yeah, it's really not only what people say about you and how they perceive you. That's what you put out to the world. Yeah, that's what you have basically in control. And that's so important because you define yourself. Do not define, or do not let others define you. Yeah,
absolutely. And I want to backtrack a little bit there of how what you put out to the community. And I remember yesterday I was reading through LinkedIn, and there was someone who reached out to someone, a general manager to a big company or something, and he was offended because this particular person didn't do any research about him before she reached out to him. And he actually did. He actually copied the whole conversation, which was supposed to be private between him and that person, and published it on LinkedIn to shame that person. So straight away, even though yes, the person who was talking, by message to him should have done their research, should have checked that person out first. We understand that, but it doesn't give that person a right to shame someone publicly like that out on LinkedIn. So maybe he did that because he was reacting to the situation and that thing sucks up. So I think it's really important. I know a wise mentor always said to me, praise in public and criticize in private. So I think those little tiny things, because straight away my attention went to him because I have a high level of emotional intelligence. I've done a lot of personal development, and I'm a qualified counsellor and everything else as well. So I've got a high level of emotional intelligence. But it was interesting because even though the person who was I suppose spamming LinkedIn or whatever, even though that person, maybe in some people's eyes is not appropriate, but it's how he responded to the situation, which straight away took me away from thinking that he was a good leader. You know what I mean? Straight away. It was interesting.
Yeah. So I think you need to be very intentional what you're putting out there.
Yes.
And I mean, you never should judge people.
Yes.
You do not know what's behind, what is the story behind that person. But
Yes.
it might seem that this person is lacking of a certain, let's say, confidence in order to shame others. Yeah, it's kind of balancing that out somehow. But yeah, it's devaluating you as a person in the market if you are shaming us. So this is basically a no-go that you should not do.
Well, I just think I think he could have done it privately. Told that person that he didn't. He would have appreciated if that person had done their due diligence and everything else without shaming in public. There's absolutely no reason to shame people out in public. That's my belief anyway. So straight away, but the personal branding, when I see him now, I suppose I don't hold him in high regard anymore because of what he's done, kind of thing as well. It's interesting. Now I want to move a little bit now onto we talked a little bit about there's a thing called the psychology color wheel. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I know that I sent you a quick email before we had this conversation, so we're aligned. And we'll talk a little about if a business is trying to promote a stance that they're trusted, like they're a really trusted business, and that maybe they're a modern business as well. What kind of colours? Do you know what type of colours on the colour wheel they would select to actually portray that image or that message? Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely, colors play a huge role, and the color really are determining how your business and how your logo, how your material, the tangible material, then of course also you is perceived. And it really has the power to drive purchasing decisions of customers. Colors really trigger these emotions and give meaning to a brand, as you say, trusted and so. And use really consistently, and you should consistently use your colors across your marketing. Color improve brand recognition by 80%, and that's a lot. So right colors, first of all, depend on your industry and on your target market. And industries stick with certain colors. And for example, the color blue, financial institutions like to use the color blue, because it communicates the security, reliability, trustworthiness. So brands use blue to promote trust in their products and in their services. Most of the banks that I can think of are using blue. It's really interesting. So basically, your brand color tells a story. So it should communicate your values that you are living by, standing for, and they are unique, and should therefore not to be confused with others that are you are competing within the market. So you have it helps you to differentiate yourself with others. So let's go back. If you want to be considered as a trusted, or let's say modern or energized brand, so blue plays this trust purpose, security, the success, loyalty, and the confidence of a company. You have to have confidence in the bank that you are a customer of, right? Modern is a very, let's say, broad term. It really depends in what context modern you put into. It can be considered in youth. Young people are modern. Freedom. Orange as a color, for example, would express optimism and warmth. For example, I use orange and I use also red. That energizes you. It's visualized by the red color, which was all about love, creativity, action. I'm an actionable person. I'm passionate. So, and I'm excited. So there needs to be the color red in there, and there needs to be the color orange, because I also I'm optimistic, and I like warm colors as well.
And the red color, that's also in corporate, it's often known as a power color, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like men will wear ties that are red and things like that to show the energy or the power that they've got.
Exactly. And to close that, the most powerful brands stick to simple color palettes. So less than 3 colors usually. Do not overdo it. You really need to make sure what is your main color that you want to go with, and then see how what works around it. So use solid colors rather than these gradients in between. You can do it, but you have a main solid color. And be very careful that different colors look on screens different than in print. So you have here also differences when you do a presentation, let's say a PowerPoint presentation or keynote presentation, red, black, and white. You have to be very careful. That is readable at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I know certain colours. I think is it the black? It's hard to read white on black for long for a lot of text. It's quite hard and things like that. So
Black also conveys luxury and exclusivity, sophistication. Then here it's the question of how do you use black with gold, with white. Yeah,
mm,
how much white space you have. The more white space you have, the more exclusive brands become.
mm,
So
mm,
that also needs to be taken into consideration. Yeah.
absolutely. So my colours that I'm using on this live here. Um, what do you think of that colour? What does that colour tell you? That colour I'm using for our name tags.
Which colors you mean now?
Yeah, like I'm using on my skin. Can you see that your name tag?
Yes. You mean the
Colour
rose?
there.
Yeah, it's sweet. It has kind of um, yeah, a sweetness. It's warm. It's comfortable. I
Mm.
think it has a little of a female or
Yes, yes.
touch. Yeah.
If you want to, yeah, because a lot of my audience is women, work with women. It doesn't mean I don't work with men. So guys, I still work with men as well. But I like to, I suppose it's interesting because as I've matured more, I've become softer, and the more I work with my clients, I'm drawn to the softer colours now than what I used to be when I was competing because I actually got a martial art background where I did 30 years of martial arts and I was Australian title for 2 years. And, I was very, I suppose, very in touch with my yang side of me, not the yin side, you know what I mean? And the yang side is the masculine side. So I was very in touch with the masculine side of me, not the feminine side. So as I'm getting older, I'm getting more and more feminine. Got to be bringing pink in very soon, so don't worry. Keep an eye out for that as well. So that's interesting as well. So let's move on. I want to also explain with your help as well, Bridget, of you don't have to be a graphic artist or a color expert to actually, kick your business off. There's a lot of tools online now that help entrepreneurs actually and do all the heavy lifting for that. And I love and I do all of my marketing myself, and I use Canva, and I love using Canva because it's just amazing. Everything, especially if you pay the paid version, which is
Pro.
only $19 a month. I mean, that's cheaper than an hour's work, or not. It's not even an hour's work of someone who's really good, and I love it. So they've got new features in there where you haven't even got to be a color expert. You can click on styles; it changes all the colors or the contrasting. But I think your colors, it's like our name plates here. Your colors, they need to contrast, don't they? They need to almost pop and things like that. Is that right with you? And also, I want to also tap into your experience of Canva as well. That's okay, Bridget, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually did my homepage with someone else who is really a graphic designer because I'm a branding strategist. So I'm more coming from the long-term perspective, building up brands, and then design is a huge thing, but it's still part of a whole branding. It's the tangible part of your branding, right? So it kind of operationalizes that, it puts it into action, it makes it visible to the whole touch, and it gives more meaning to everything, right? I do, yes. So that's why I have my brand designer. I tell him what I exactly want, how it should look like, because I have an idea, of course, of how to use fonts and how to use white space and how to use the color, but he's going to do that with his programs. What I love to do is in my everyday work, and when I create, let's say, I have an online course, I'm doing all the graphics for that. I do it myself, something that has to be quick and easy and fast. I use Canva. I love Canva.
Me too. I love Canva.
Yeah. Sometimes it does not really come well when you upload the visual into a software.
Yes.
but that's how it is, and I'm quite sure it's the quality is also getting better over time. But I really like it for workbooks, for cheat sheets, for all the simple things, for posting. It's just very convenient. I think it has become such a strong worldwide recognized and
Absolutely.
recognized. Everyone recalls, everyone knows about Canva. Yeah,
That's
so
right.
I love to use it. Yeah, and you can also save your own colors in there, the
Yeah,
hex, so that's beautiful because it suggests you already.
absolutely. It's so easy today, isn't it, with Canva and everything else? So Canva, if you're not familiar with Canva, Canva is canva.com. It's a graphic. It replaces having to have a graphic designer in your business if you're starting out and things like that. And all your graphics, everything's done for you. It color codes everything. You just got to, as Bridget was saying, you just got to upload your colors up there to a brand area, and it just changes everything. It's just amazing. It's an amazing, product to use. And I may even do a live coming up very soon of showing people inside Canva to actually show people what we're talking about as well. But it's something, it's really worthwhile doing. And also, Bridget, I also found that I created my colors as well. I kind of knew what color I liked because what my color. I didn't know what colors were the best ones to, what do you say, to actually match with that main color. But what I did was I went into I just did a search on color palettes on Google as well, and on Instagram as well, because there's a lot of color palettes up on Instagram as well. And it actually showed me all the codes and everything else of the colors that complemented my main colors as well. So that was amazing as well. I mean, I wish I had known that when I first started my business, sort of investing 10,000 in a branding person who I didn't even really need a branding at that time. But there's so many great tools now, and I think being really business savvy, it's understanding where all the tools are located and how you can use it. And then, of course, as your business grows, you're going to outsource that particular project or whatever to your team members and everything else. But as a business owner, you still have to have a basic idea of what your team members are doing. That's really important. So,
Yeah, I think you should have to invest in your logo and in the visual foundation of your brand identity, because really design matters, especially if you want people to give you money. Yeah. And if you want to tell the world about your brand, yeah, when you invest in your branding, you really empower your small business to thrive as well. No one wants to give someone money whose branding is shady or is not really nicely set up. So it's how it's part of how you show yourself to the world, and it has to align with the personality that you are. Yeah, that makes you. Yeah, this all has to be aligned, and because customers see if there is something not okay.
absolutely.
And they will turn away from you. Yeah, it's also about making a first impression. That's really, really important to do so.
That's right. So let's summarize what we've been talking about. So what are three tips? What are your three takeaway tips for our audience to think about around branding?
So first of all, I think you need to know who you are as a person. You shall be authentic as a person. You should be courageous. You should be unapologetically you, no matter what others say about you. If you feel like that's who you are, and you really need to walk, you need to leave your footprint in this world. Yeah. And and also show a sense of vulnerability. You are a human being, and vulnerability helps you to connect with your audience, because it's all about feelings and it's all about emotions. And as a personal brand, you also need to know whom are you going to serve. Yeah. Who is the audience, because you want to also do business. Who is the audience who aligns with you, who you want to appeal to, who you know that you want to serve, because you're here for a reason. That's your big why. Yeah. And you want to inspire others, and you can only do that if you inspire the people that resonate with you. Yeah.
Mm.
You need to know who you are, how you are best, what is the best version. Be intentional of what you're doing. So you need to do your homework in terms of understanding first yourself, knowing who you are, also knowing who your customer is, and then build that relationship. Yeah.
That's right.
With everything that you have from you as a person, but also when it comes to logo, materializing, making tangible who you are in terms of logo, slogan, symbols, and all the material that you basically use to present yourself to the world.
Yeah.
And you shine.
Well, and when you start shining, then too, it's important then to understand that some practical tips as well. Because once you're authentic, as you're saying, Bridgit, you know yourself and you shine and you're being vulnerable and you got humility and all those wonderful values. That's important to you as well. Then also looking at how are you presenting your work as well. Because I know for me, sometimes I may use a graphic design that's a running script, but it's hard to read for people. And also, knowing your audience is important too, Bridgit, because if you've got a market, say, of a more mature audience, you can't use 10-point printing. It's a lot of them can't read it on business cards and things like that as well. But if you've got a younger demographic, really young audience, it's completely different as well. So your approach is really different when you know your audience, to understand the challenges they have to actually read your material as well. Because if someone can't read your material, then you can't get your message across. And if you can't get your message across, and they're not going to take a long time to put their glasses on and squint and try and read it, they're just going to skim past you and go to someone else as well. So that's something to look at too, because I know me, a lot of people who work with me, they're 40s to 50s-year-old. I don't really attract the 18 or the 19. They're not my market. So it is definitely knowing your market and making sure that you're helping your market's needs and not just your own personal needs as well.
Yeah, and that's why, especially when you start out with building your business, niche. You need to really niche down to a specific audience, because you can really serve them well. A lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, when you are a one-woman show, and you think, oh my God, if I niche down, I'm missing out. No, you're not missing out, because that's a false thought pattern. Because when you niche, you can be very specific. You know exactly, you know your customer inside out. Yeah, you go very, very deep, and then you can really serve them. Yeah. So if you want to serve everyone, you're not serving everyone. You serve basically, you cannot reach everyone. You serve nobody. So niche, be very, very specific and look what is out there in the market. Where is your gap with your unique capabilities, with your uniqueness, with your superpower, with your magic, who you are, and then start from there. And there's always someone who needs you. And now with this, living in this global world, we have huge reach through the internet, through social media. We are not confined to geographic borders. Yeah. And most of the people around the world also speak English. I'm also a native, a non-native English speaker, but still, I can reach out in that, for me, second language, and across the globe, reach that specific niche. You still can still doing so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the conversation. I hope everyone's got some tips to take away about personal branding else as well. I'll be back here again next week again with a different co-host. And again, thank you so much for Bridgit for coming on board and sharing this time with us as well.
It was a delight. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much, Lee, for having me. Thank you.
And if you've got any questions, you know where to find us, reach out to us. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.